How many days have you been in Pullman since the Apple Cup? I know you guys have been recruiting quite a bit.
1, 2, 4. So yeah, it's
Are
probably
you,
number 5.
are you still kind of getting adjusted to this new signing period? And obviously you have to get a lot of recruiting done early.
I think we would have been out anyway. It's a different, I was talking to Steph about this the other day. Coaches are like creatures of habit, so you kind of get on a schedule, and every year you kind of expect that schedule. So now it feels like January. So that's how I equate it. It's January. It's home visits, bringing the head coach in and closing, on this class while having finals back in Pullman, while preparing to beat, trying to beat a really good football team. And just all the things that come with the end of the semester, for these young men, and then also signing your recruiting class on Wednesday, So it's been, it just feels like January, and maybe even more a little cranked up than January, because in January, it's a new semester. The kids are coming back to school, and it's kind of a fresh deal for them. There's really it's just the workouts in the weight room. There's no football going on, so it's just a different period. You got to adjust and keep going. So.
I know every team who's in a bowl game right now is kind of dealing with the same thing, but does it take away from the bowl prep, or do you just have to maybe work a few more hours each day to make sure you get your recruiting in, your bowl prep in?
You just got to put on a lot of different hats, and it's long days, but they're long days anyway. So you gotta be wise with your time on the road recruiting and know when you're going to come back, and you can't take away any preparation from these players, because that's what it's all about. It's about these players and the recruiting class, because they're going to be our players for the future. So it's all about them. So. Whatever we can do, you can't take anything away from that. And like I said, we still at the same time, you got to prepare to go out and play a really, really, really good Michigan State team. So,
have you decided whether this is a kind of a positive thing, this early signing period, or is it too early to kind of determine?
I think it's too early. I was telling Steph that too. I think after that February signing day, just to kind of see how the chips fall with certain kids, I think then we'll be able to make a decision on if it's good or bad. But I mean, who am I? I'm just a receivers coach at Washington State, so I got no vote in it.
Speaking of your group, I know you guys don't want to necessarily talk about the guys who aren't there anymore. But has it been any different the last week or so without those two guys that have been there the whole time?
I mean, it's just next guy up, next guy up mentality. I've been preaching that with everybody all year. So it's just kind of throw the guys in and, just kind of stress a few of them that they got a really good opportunity here. And at the same time, we got, again, you got to go out and prepare for a really good team. So who's always been solid on defense from the time Coach Antonio got there, So it's kind of status quo, and that's, I don't want to make a big deal of it, and I don't want to make a small deal. It's because control what you can control is what I've been telling these guys all year. And I'm excited personally for our group, to go out there and prepare, over these next couple of weeks, and then go out and play a game. So
it seemed like Tavares was kind of a leader and kind of a voice of that group. Have you challenged someone else to kind of step up and replace that role?
I haven't.
In the receiver group?
I haven't. Yeah, I like to kind of let it sort itself out. I want to see who's going to do it on their own. You know what I mean? And then we'll talk about that in the off season. But right now, I think it's just been guys coming to work, and that's all you can ask for, man. Coming to work, finish school strong, finish these finals, and come out here and work. And I've been really, really happy with that so far. So
Tay really stepped up when Tavares was suspended. I mean, that was kind of his breakout game, and he was pretty steady ever since. Have you seen that progression kind of carry over into bowl practice and getting
He's
better
the same,
and better?
man. He's the same. I mean, that's what he does. He comes out here and he practices and he goes hard, and he learns. He comes in, he watches film on his own. He comes into my office and we watch film alone sometimes, and yeah, he's been really consistent, and that's what's made him the player he is today. That's why he's been in the shoes. He had a great game when he needed to step up, and so he's just been consistent, and that's all we're asking him. Coach Leach always says, I'd rather have a guy that is consistently good over 70 plays than a guy that makes one play every 35 plays, and that's pretty much Tay in a nutshell, because he comes out here and practices his rear end up.
Coach Leach said Dez has had a few good practices lately. Have you seen that out of him the past few weeks?
Absolutely. It's just more reps, you know what I'm saying? More reps, and maybe he views it, as, hey, it's a good opportunity. I mean, we are going back home, for him, so that's always cranked up in his mind, I'm sure. But it's kind of the same thing. I don't put too much, I'm not going to go out there and put a bunch of pressure on these guys. It's just next man up mentality, and I'd have full confidence that if he went in and was in the same position that Tay was in that Colorado game, that he probably would have done the same thing. So yeah, it's just next guy up and let's go, man. Status quo.
And Coach also said that Jameer was kind of working a little bit with the outside guys. Has he kind of made that transition, or is he still doing a little bit of both?
He's been out with me just from a body standpoint, but he's a smart football player, and recruiting Jameer, it was a 5-man operation recruiting that kid, but you know, and recruiting him and talking football with him, he wanted to know the plays right away, and so he and I would always, you know, go back and forth. And I mean, the kid knew the offense, so it's been a seamless transition. He just jumps out there. Now it's seeing things from a different view, but he's gone out there, and again, he's practiced his rear end off too, you know, all year. So it's kind of just, you know, it's really been seamless, to be honest with you. I know you guys have got to do your job, and you know, everybody's like, how different is it? It's really not different. It's just this. It's what we expect as coaches, and I think these kids expect it too. So they just kind of come out and played.
Yeah, and I know he had been doing a little bit of that, I think, during fall camp, a little bit on the outside. I guess if there's maybe one or two adjustments a player has to make when they go outside, what do you want to see him do that they're maybe not doing as much on the inside?
I'd be definitely competing against press man coverage. That's the one thing. I mean, not a lot of people press across the board on the insides at the slot position, so you might see that 6 plays in a row from this team. You might see it, you're seeing it from certain teams in our conference, but that would be the glaring fact, is that you're going to see press man, so you're going to have to beat it.
Anyone else working on the outside? I think Brandon was doing it. Maybe
he was, but then we bumped him back inside. So
okay. What have you guys seen from Michigan State? It's always been a kind of a traditional good defense. It's a Big Ten defense, strong, physical. What else do they show on film?
That's it, man. I mean, they are going to do what they do, and they're going to do it well. And they're really extremely well coached. I mean, I've been up there and, you know, multiple times working camps and recruiting up there, and just Coach Antonio just is so consistent with what he does with his program. I mean, you're going to do it their way, and you're going to do it well, and you're going to do it hard and big physical. I mean, it's what they do, and they do a good job of it.
Do you have a little more kind of exposure to that program when you're at Toledo and a little bit closer?
Yeah, just because you have to go up there and work camps, you know, and you get to see Coach D'Antonio, who treats a summer camp in June with the recruits the same way he treats the Rose Bowl, you know, which you got to respect. I mean, that's awesome, you know, and he wants, you know, I can only imagine how his program is if he's running a summer camp like that, you know, putting a lot on the visiting coaches that really coach the kids and make sure they have fun and evaluate at the same time, but really, you know, making a good experience for those kids. So,
do you know him on a personal level?
I don't.
Coach Antonio?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't.
Okay. But you kind of worked the camps up there, or recruited the camps?
Yeah.
Okay.
At Toledo, you know, you go around to all the traveling camps, so we had to go up there. But yeah.
I kind of asked you earlier in the year about Chip Kelly. Obviously, kind of landed on his feet in UCLA. What's that like to see him back in the Pac-12? Maybe not so good for everyone else in the conference,
sure.
but
well, yeah, he's a good football coach. I mean, it's awesome. You know, it's I think it's good for the conference. Now you got some good head coaches in this conference. You know, and kind of. What's the word I'm looking for? But you got Coach Leach, you got Chip Kelly, you got Rich Rod. I mean, we got some personalities, I guess you will, you know, in this conference. So, but yeah, it's always good to see a friend of yours coaching ball, and no matter where it is, it's SEC or the Pac-12, you know, it doesn't matter.
Coach, just an update on redshirt Johnny Neville. What have you seen from him that impresses you in Thursday Night Football this year?
I haven't seen much of him. You know, he was hurt for a long time. So, I mean, in fall camp, he did some things, but I mean, really haven't seen much of him. So,
is Harvey on the inside or the outside?
He's on the outside.
But what about Hayden as a guy? What does he done well this season?
Yeah, I mean, it's Thursday Night Football, you know. So those guys kind of running around. Sometimes those guys, when they get redshirted or whatever, they're not in the meeting rooms. You know what I mean? So it's just more learning the plays. So that's I mean, they got a long way to go to learn their plays.
Okay, good.